The BetSided Early Leans is back. What's good, everybody? Ben Heisler alongside my guys, Ian McMillan, Donovan Smoot, Peter Dewey, and Reed Wallach. We are back for, week 10 in the NFL, week 11 in college football. We're already getting close to Thanksgiving, and we're certainly thankful that all of you guys have been here with us along the way. And we're also thankful for a nice little turnaround as well, especially in college football. Another positive week for all of us here at BetSided, both for college football and in NFL. Take a look at our overall records here on our video series. We've gone 26-17 against the spread in the NFL, now 25-24-1 in college football. So if you've been enjoying these videos, hopefully you've been able to tail a couple picks and win a little bit along the way. If you've had some success or just enjoyed it, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up, go ahead and subscribe, and would love for you guys to tell a friend about what we're doing over at BetSided as well. And certainly feel free to leave a comment and we'll be happy to respond. Let's start in the NFL. We're already at week 10. We're at the second half of the season. So Ian, I will kick things off to you. You're looking at Sam Darnold, possibly, in the Carolina Panthers. They're 10-point underdogs this week against the Arizona Cardinals, who just cannot seem to lose whenever you expect them to. Arizona getting 10 points at home with a total of 44.5.
Yeah, I am going to back the Panthers here, plus 10. I'm not a believer in this Arizona Cardinals team whatsoever. Are they good? Yes. Are they as good as people are hyping them up as? I don't think so. I don't even think it's even close. I don't know if I've seen a team get as many lucky breaks in their games as this Cardinals team. Probably the last team that got this lucky was like the Patriots teams in the early 2000s. I think things are going to come crashing down for the Cardinals here. And don't forget, yes, I know the Panthers don't have a strong offense. Sam Darnold obviously stinks. I've been saying that all season. But let's not forget about their defense. Still one of the very best defenses so far in the NFL. They rank second in opponent yards per play and third in opponent yards per pass attempt. Meanwhile, the Cardinals defense still second last in opponent yards per carry. You can run the ball against this Cardinals team. I think the Panthers are going to keep this one close. I'll take them to keep it within 10 points here.
I will see whether or not the Panthers can keep it close against Arizona. Donovan, I head to you next. We got a West Coast matchup as the Minnesota Vikings. Boy, they continue to find new ways to lose close games. Kind of reminds me of the team that they're playing from a couple of years ago, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers 2.5-point favorites, ended up getting a 3-point win last week against Philadelphia. Nice high total in this matchup for anybody playing DFS or looking to go towards the over with 52. Tell me who you like between the Vikings and the Chargers in a battle of two teams that like to play it close this year.
I like Minnesota to lose this game. I'm really on Los Angeles. And again, this pick is Los Angeles. They're very average on offense, but so this pick is much more anti-Minnesota. And I watched that game on Sunday and just watch them lose it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like they're going to be my fave this week. They're bad on third down. They're 25th in the league in efficiency. They're bad on red zone scoring. They are 27th in the league on that. Their defense gives up the 27th most yards per game in the league. And under Mike Zimmer as road underdogs, which they are this week, they're 13-25. I think this is a really good spot to fade them. Los Angeles, again, offensively, they're kind of middle of the pack, but where they are top 10 they're top 10 in yards per game, they're top 10 on third down, and they're top 10 in touchdowns per game. So if you let them go up and down the field, which Minnesota does, they're eventually going to put 6 on the board. And so I think Los Angeles, in a field goal type of game, I think they can get this.
All right, stick with another AFC West team, and that's the Denver Broncos. They're at home this week, 2.5-point favorites against the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost last week to the aforementioned Los Angeles Chargers. Total in that game sitting right at 44. Peter, I head to you next. Last week on this very program, you talked about the Denver Broncos at plus 9.5. Boy, what a turn of events. They go from almost double-digit underdogs to now 2.5-point favorites at home. Who do you like?
Yeah, Ben, as I said on Bet and Breakfast this week, I'm going back to the well. I'm taking the Broncos 2.5-point favorites at Mile High. Like, I just don't know that this Eagles team is good enough to be within a field goal. I just don't think that they've been good enough on offense. They don't have Miles Sanders still. And Jalen Hurts has been very average as a quarterback. He's picked up some garbage time points that have padded his stats, but he hasn't looked, like one of those guys who's going to keep you in a game all the time. Denver's 5-4 against the spread this year. They're 3-0 against the NFC East so far. I think they end up going 4-0. I think the perfect thing for the Broncos is what happened last week against Dallas. They found a game plan. lean on the running game, let Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams pick up, move the chains on the first couple of downs, and let Teddy Bridgewater have a bunch of easy throws, get into play action. Broncos are also a great team against the run. We saw the Eagles keep things close against the Chargers last week, who are one of the worst teams against the run. Denver was the 11th fewest yards per carry in the NFL. I think the Broncos cover and win. I mean, a field goal is just a little too low for me against the Eagles team. This is just not that impressive.
Yeah, I hope that the Broncos, at least for our sake, can start to pick things up a little bit at home. They got off to a really good start on the road, had some up and downs over the course of this year, but I certainly think the matchup favors them as well. Reed, I will head to you next. I think this show just transitioned so well because we're talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Now we're talking about the New Orleans Saints. There was a possibility that maybe they consider trading him back, but Von Miller was the only one to go. Saints 3-point underdogs this week, coming off a bad loss at home to the Atlanta Falcons. I suppose if you asked our own Ian McMillan, he would tell you that that was not a very bad loss, but a very good win for the Falcons. Regardless, Saints +3 on the road against the red hot Tennessee Titans, who stunned the Rams on Sunday Night Football last week. Total in that game of 44.5. Are you staying with the upstart Titans, who now are number one in the AFC, or do you think the Saints can bounce back from last week?
The Titans, they deserve credit. They came out, they smacked the Rams, but it's all situational for me. Mike Vrabel coached Titans teams 19-11 against the spread as an underdog, just 13-17-1 as a favorite. So I'm fading the Titans this week because they're going up against the king of betting, of coaches to bet on as an underdog. Sean Payton, 48-29-2 against the spread as an underdog. And that's the coaching handicap. On field, I still wasn't impressed with the Titans last week without Derrick Henry. Just averaged 3.5 yards per play. 2 uncharacteristic Matt Stafford interceptions really threw the game script out. And that's how the Titans got the win, in my opinion. I like the Saints catching a field goal, still top 5 in EPA per play on defense. So give me the Saints catching 3 for sure.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a nice contrarian play for this week as well. So I like it. And remember, the Saints came back in that game only for Matt Ryan to take him down the field. And then a Younghoe Koo field goal ended up sealing the deal for Atlanta. He's now 4-4 on the year after a pretty dreadful start. For me, I'm looking NFC West. I think it's a good opportunity this week on Monday Night Football for the Los Angeles Rams to bounce back. They are -4 against the San Francisco 49ers with a total of 49.5. Sean McVay, over the course of his career, when they lose, they have these weird fluky losses that you can't figure out what happened, but they always seem to make the adjustments necessary. Following a loss for Sean McVay, Rams are 16-5 straight up, and they're also 14-6-1 against the spread, including going 9-2 against the spread over these last 11 games in this current situation. And also the 49ers, boy, you can't figure out when there's an ideal spot for them to be able to take advantage. They just don't do it. Kyle Shanahan is now 9-22-1 against the spread as a favorite. That is an abysmal record for a team that was supposedly at the top of the division when it came to projections over at WinBet over the course of this year. I think the 49ers are toast. There's just no coming back, especially when you can't win a crucial game without Kyler Murray and without DeAndre Hopkins on the Arizona side. So I like the Rams to bounce back and get things figured out. Before we dive into college football picks and go around the horn once again, as Peter mentioned, he talked about one of his favorite plays over on our podcast, Bet and Breakfast. If you're watching us here on YouTube, you can also find our podcast available streaming right here on this page. We go live on Monday and Thursday morning. So get up, have a cup of coffee and whatever you choose to eat to start your day and get some green into your system, whether it be a little bit of spinach in your eggs or also a little bit of money as well. Bet and Breakfast every Monday and Thursday morning. Hopefully you guys will join us here on YouTube, or if you are looking to get it on the audio side, you can find it wherever podcasts are available. Continuing on, college football, again, another solid week for us, going 3-2 and back above 500. So Ian, I head to you once again. You're looking at an SEC matchup between Arkansas and LSU, with the Razorbacks 2.5-point favorites in this one with a total of 59.
Yeah, I love Arkansas on this spot quite a bit, -2.5. Listen, everyone's high on LSU after they beat Florida a few weeks back, and they kept it close with Alabama this past weekend, but I am not buying it. When you look at the statistics, this Arkansas team is significantly better than LSU. You look at yards per play, Arkansas ranks 31st, LSU's 76th, and then opponent yards per play, the Razorbacks are 59th, and LSU is 91st in the country in that stat. And the big thing that I'm looking at for this game is yards per carry, because Arkansas is the 7th highest rushing play rate in the country. They love to run the football, and LSU ranks 88th in opponent yards per carry. They allow an average of 4.6 on the ground. So I love Arkansas on this spot. Sell high spot on LSU. Give me Arkansas -2.5.
All right, Donovan, I head to you next. You're looking at San Diego State, 1.5-point favorites against Nevada. Total in that game of 46.5. San Diego State made it a little bit interesting in the late game where everyone's trying to get their money back from Saturday, but an intriguing matchup this week against Nevada. Who do you like between these two West Coast teams?
Well, look, I was a little shaky earlier. I know exactly who I'm picking in this one. I'm picking San Diego State. I don't like Nevada at all. I think that they are extremely one-dimensional. They can't run the ball at all. They're 129th in the country in yards per game and in yards per rush. San Diego State has a great defense. They're top 10 in points per game, yards per play, and then they're top 5 in yards per pass as well. So if you're telling me that Nevada and Carson Strong are going to travel on the road and try and beat the San Diego State team through the air when they already know it's coming, I don't buy it. Nevada hasn't really faced a defense as good as San Diego State, and the two times that they have, Fresno State, Kansas State, both of those losses were on the road, same situation as here. And so I think that this is a very good, spot for San Diego State. Brady Hoke took over last year for the Aztecs. They are 6-1 straight up as a home favorite since he took over, since the start of last season. So I really like San Diego State this week.
Let's continue on. Peter, you're looking at a Big Ten matchup. Purdue with another big win. They seem to be able to find opportunities to beat top 5 teams. Did it again last week. They're now catching 20 on the road at Ohio State. 20-point dogs for Purdue with a total of 61.5. Ohio State's trying to make a statement down the stretch of the season, but you think they might have an opportunity to not be taking Purdue seriously here at home?
Yeah, I feel like I'm betting Purdue every week, guys. And so last week I had Michigan State to beat them. Now I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to take Purdue plus the points in this game. Even on the road, I really like the Boilermakers. Their offense, they throw the 7th most passes in the nation this year, and they've been extremely good at it. They're 3rd in completion percentage, 6th in passes per game, 7th in pass yards per game. And if you're going to beat this Ohio State defense, it's through the air. They're 85th in the nation opponent pass yards per game. I don't think Ohio State loses this game, but I also think almost 3 touchdowns is a little too much to give them. Purdue has shown it can beat top 5 opponents. It already beat Iowa when they were number 2, beat Michigan State last week. Aiden O'Connell's got this team playing really, really well down the stretch. I don't think this is just a walkover game for Ohio State before they play Michigan and Michigan State to end the year. Give me the Boilermakers plus 20. I think it's just way too many points.
Well, the call for you, Peter, on Purdue makes a whole lot of sense. By the way, for anybody that's been following our series over the course of the year, we know Pete is Public Pete. Public Pete died earlier this week when he took the Broncos to go ahead and beat the Dallas Cowboys. But I think we have a new nickname, Purdue Pete. It just rings, it flows. It's already the name of the mascot. You've already bet on them several times this year. I think we have a new nickname, and I think this one is going to be able to stick a little bit as well. Reed, let's go to you. Another SEC matchup. You're looking at Auburn -2.5. They are at home against Mississippi State with a total of 50. Kind of feels like whenever Auburn's at home, it feels like a strong pick to go ahead and take them, right?
Yeah, I'm laying the points 5.5 with Auburn at home against Mississippi State.
5.5, excuse me.
No, you're good. Bo Nix, tale of 2 quarterbacks, home and road. Completion percentage shoots up 6% at home. His touchdown interception ratio is 6-1 versus 3-2 on the road. And listen, this Auburn team beat Mississippi State on the road last year, 24-10. I know it's a different season, but I like Auburn to cover this number, mainly because of the little things. Obviously, I like Bo Nix, but how about the special teams play? Mississippi State outside the top 100 in S&P Plus' special team rating. Auburn inside the top 20. And the same goes for tackling. Auburn right around top 20. Mississippi State right around 100. So I think it's the little things. I think Bo Nix is going to crack up some magic here. And I like Auburn to get a bounce back win at home against Mississippi State.
Love the call, love the play. I will do another 2-team teaser for my college bet of the week. I'm going to tease both Florida State and Ole Miss at home from +2.5 all the way up to +8.5. As far as the FSU game, they're taking on Miami at home. I'm ready, guys. I'm ready to take that leap and start fading Miami again. I think the time is right. The 2.5 also kind of feels like a bit of a trap line, considering how good Miami has played over the last 3 games. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Florida State, meanwhile, continues to have a pretty rough season. They've also dominated the series over the last several years. Miami's won 3 in a row against them. But the last 5 Miami games that they've all played have all been single possession games, both a couple of their losses as well as their 3 wins. So I like FSU at home. It's a pretty substantial game for them. I like them to hang around. And I like being able to move past 3 and 7, move it past outside of that single possession number at +8.5. And then same thing with Ole Miss. Like Matt Corral continues to play well. They got that win last week against Liberty. I think a matchup this week against A&M, there's still a lot of public support for them right after they took down Alabama as the #1 team in the country. So I think you can go ahead and take advantage of that number for Ole Miss. Again, an opportunity to move that number past 3 and 7. So a 2-team teaser with 2 home dogs, Florida State and Ole Miss, back to +8.5. There you go, guys. Those are our early leans for the NFL and for college football for week 10 and 11, respectively. We got even more previews, predictions, props, plays, anything that starts with the letter P. All that is available over at BetSided. Just head on over to fansided.com/BetSided. And also make sure you guys check us out not only here on YouTube, but also on social media as well. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at BetSided. So for my guys, Ian, Donovan, Peter, and Reed, and thanks to our producer, Joanne, I'm Ben. We'll talk to you guys next week. So long, everybody.